study,
and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
The best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you've ever blasted synth beats from your boombox or burned CDs for your besties, this one's for you. As people get older, much like their music tastes, their health needs change. AG1 is the simple daily health drink designed to deliver over 75 essential daily nutrients and pre- and probiotics to support energy, digestion, and mood, so you can make the most out of every decade and dance break. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
Before we begin, quick disclaimer. Nothing in this episode should be considered investment advice. Results discussed have not been independently vetted. Any claims made by the guests have not been verified. The content is for educational purposes only. Views expressed by the guests do not reflect those of the host or this show. This episode is part of our sponsored series with Gelt, where we bring operators, investors, and business leaders who are building real businesses and helping people navigate today's economic environment. I think today's conversation couldn't be more relevant. We're living through a period where uncertainty feels constant. Interest rates have changed dramatically. Artificial intelligence is reshaping industries. Global conflicts continue to create economic ripple effects. Many investors are asking a simple question: how do you build wealth when the future feels harder to predict than ever? For years, we've been conditioned to believe that success comes from finding the next big thing, the next trend, the next breakthrough opportunity. But what if lasting wealth isn't built by chasing what's exciting? What if it's built by understanding risk, protecting downside, and investing in assets that continue to matter regardless of what headlines dominate the news cycle? Today's guest is Ben Kahle, CEO and managing partner of Wellings Capital. Over the last decade, he went from earning $12 an hour as an intern to helping oversee more than $500 million in commercial real estate assets. In this conversation, we discuss the biggest risks facing investors today, why many real estate investors got into trouble during the recent market cycle, how to think about leverage and uncertainty, and why some of the most successful investment strategies are often the least exciting. Whether you're an active passive investor or simply trying to make better financial decisions in an increasingly complex world, I think you'll find a lot of practical wisdom in this discussion. Here's my conversation with Ben Kahle. Hey guys, welcome to an episode of the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm delighted about today's guest, Ben Kahle. He's CEO and managing partner at Wellings Capital. Ben started as an intern to $12 an hour. Now he's managing partner of 500 million assets under management, commercial real estate firm in 10 years. He's here to share the lessons he learned along the way, where real estate investing is, the risks, and all the geopolitical issues that are going on. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris.
Introduce yourself and we'll dive into the conversation.
I am based in Virginia, a town called Lynchburg, 3 hours south of DC. I moved here for college, didn't plan to stick around, but I ended up meeting Paul, 30 years older than me. He is the reason that I am in the real estate private equity space today. I've been here 14 years.
What a journey. What was the journey from making $12 an hour intern to managing partner? Tell us about that journey, the learnings, lessons, failures, why you chose to stick with real estate.
I ended up getting my real estate license when I was in college. The same year I met Paul by happenstance here in town. Would not be here if it wasn't for people older, wiser, more experienced than me. Paul was that person. I remember meeting him. He said he had done things in real estate. He'd been investing in real estate full time since 1999. He became my mentor, asked me to start an internship with him and a couple other partners back in 2015. That was 11 and a half years ago. It's been an interesting journey. It's the only job I've had out of college. So many things that I've learned. I gave my 20s to building Wellings Capital. I'm still committed to that. It was just an all-out grind to get Wellings off the ground. We started fresh, 19. Paul ended up buying out those two partners. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was potentially going to leave. And he was like, I'll give you 20% ownership if you stay. We start fresh, where instead of us being the operator running the deals day to day, we're going to do funds. We're going to allocate capital to other operators in the commercial real estate space. That kicked things off. We started at zero in 2019 with two funds. I took over as managing partner / in November 2020. That's the high level.
This is a podcast to highlight Wellings Capital and real estate investing. Why do you choose the particular class of real estate that you choose to focus on?
We have $1 million real estate under management. We have $230 million of investor equity we've raised. 75-80% of that total real estate value is in multifamily, self-storage, mobile home parks, or manufactured home communities. We selected those asset types intentionally because they have historically done well in past downturns. If you look back at 2008, the GFC, even COVID, historically they've done well. Other sectors of the economy were struggling, but people still needed a place to live and they were paying to store their stuff in a cheap storage unit. That was the thesis. We've invested in a few other asset types as well. We've done a bit of multi-tenant industrial. We've done a bit of retail, shopping centers. We've not done office, hotels, senior living. We've done one development deal. We don't like development a ton. Don't plan to do any development in the future.
The biggest risks in passive real estate investing. What is something that real estate investors have assumed for a long time? For example, the idea was you could be a landlord, flipper, real estate agent, developer. Then the assumptions was that commercial real estate was the next level. But then something that's turning those assumptions upside down, given that we had COVID 6 years ago and now we have AI.
What got us into these asset types that might have changed and what assumptions that might have been in place in January 2019 versus today about these asset types and how AI might be impacting these things going forward. We're fortunate that AI is probably not going to be significantly disrupting our asset types in the near future. Who knows, 10 years out. But people are still going to need a place to live, regardless of what's going on with technology and robots. Americans have an addiction to stuff. The stats are kind of crazy now. So 1 in 10 Americans have a storage unit today. Storage has been built at a rapid pace the last 5 years, but there's still pockets in smaller markets that aren't suffering from oversupply. Look at mobile home parks and multifamily, and look at small bay industrial. The tenants are typically small, medium-sized businesses. They're renting 5 to 15,000 square feet. You have office space in the front and warehouse space in the back with loading bays. There's a lot of small businesses that need that type of space. I don't see that disappearing in the near future. It's a boring couple asset types. I think investing should be boring. Maybe people in venture capital or private equity would disagree, but I think the safest way to invest is pretty boring.
What are the biggest risks in passive real estate investing?
Risk for real estate investing is leverage risk. What takes out people, deals, is property not being able to cover its senior debt service. That loan is about to mature. The owner cannot get a new loan, maybe because the property's performance is not where it needs to be, or because it's an asset type like office and there's not a lot of lenders in that space right now. Too much leverage, high leverage like 75% loan to value or higher, short-term debt, 2-3 year debt, or floating rate debt. A lot of loans in the commercial real estate world don't have a fixed rate. Some of them do. We prefer to invest in deals with fixed rate loans, but a lot of them don't. People got into trouble the last couple of years because they anticipated interest rates to stay very low or zero. 2020, 2021, interest rates were very low. Then inflation started ramping up, and the Fed did 11 hikes to the federal fund rate. In many cases, doubled the cost of the monthly debt payments for a lot of real estate deals. That was not sustainable. That was the risk owners, investors took on. The second thing is the private real estate world is not like investing in an index mutual fund or other publicly traded companies where there's reporting requirements and oversight. There's real estate vehicles out there that have oversight, but that doesn't guarantee that there's not going to be fraud. I think getting to know the people, the systems, processes at the particular company that you're considering investing with is essential. A lot of passive investors looking at real estate have been burned. It was easy to raise money for real estate deals in 2020, 21, even the first part of 2022. And the interest rate environment changed. The cracks began to show and the market dropped in valuations, which hadn't happened in any significant way from like 2010, 11 through 2022. It was this crazy bull run for commercial real estate. A lot of fraud schemes were exposed in the last couple of years. There's a lot of things that you can do that are pretty simple. There's a lot of things that are tougher to figure out. I don't think there's any substitute for meeting people in person and looking them in the eye, trying to get a gut feel for who someone is.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
A quick question. Are you paying more in taxes than you should? Most high-earning physicians overpay by tens of thousands because their CPA only looks backwards, not forward. Gelt is different. Dedicated CPAs powered by AI that work year-round, not just at filing time. Tax strategy and proactive planning for practice owners, investors, and physicians with complex financial lives. Built specifically for professionals who want to keep more of what they earn. To find out more, check out jointgelt.com. That's jointgelt.com. Links are in the show notes below. Where do you see real estate? Obviously, it's been in a slump. How do you see the current environment playing out, given oil, the Iran war, tariffs, all of these factors?
If I knew, I'd probably be recording this from my 100-foot yacht in the south of France. We're always saying internally, and we're a team of 12 people, we're trying to control the controllables. Those things you mentioned are uncontrollable forces. We can't do anything about them. We can choose what kind of deals we look at, what kind of operating partners we invest with, how we construct our funds, the type of leverage, the asset management we're doing. I don't think there's an environment coming up here where we're going to see lower interest rates. A lot of people are hoping for lower interest rates. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I'm alone in thinking that. Could some extraneous thing happen, like a shock to the economy, and the Fed decides to lower interest rates all of a sudden? It can totally happen. I think we saw in COVID and in past cycles, there is correlation between the price of oil and inflation. Who knows how long this situation in the Middle East is going to keep happening. We're not too concerned either way. We're trying to do the best deals we can that have a margin of safety. Regardless of what's going on with the stock market right now, our funds continue to throw out income. We have not changed our distribution rates. The properties underlying the funds are still cash flowing. That's one of the reasons we like real estate, because it's not as directly correlated to external events. I'm not going to say there's no correlation at all. There certainly is downstream. but it's not like it's changing daily like the stock market.
What's something that passive investors obsess over constantly that you think is minimal? What is something that they obsess over?
Distributions. Everyone likes to get a check each on a regular basis. We do monthly and quarterly distributions based on the investment. Distributions aren't always correlated to pause in distributions. Might not be a bad thing at all. One of our investments underlying one of our funds, the mobile home park, they turned off the distributions so they could fill vacant lots, bring in new or used homes to fill vacant lots. A new or used home could be anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. Then you want to bring in a new tenant to buy that home. That tenant pays the lot rent each month and their own utilities. The owner is responsible for taking care of the infrastructure, roads, common areas, clubhouse, lease and office. So it's low maintenance, low amount of labor required. But that process is temporary to increase the long-term value of the park, because a future buyer is going to look at that home that's there. It's going to be valued higher. And then if the lot was empty, but you need the money to fill that vacant lot. I think there's definitely an obsession with distributions and an obsession with looking at projected returns. If I asked you, which deal would you like? A deal that is projecting 20% or a deal that's projecting 10%? It's impossible to answer because you don't know the risk being taken. You don't know the details. That 20% projected return, they might be taking on an incredible amount of risk with the market, the condition of the property, the loan. Maybe you want that 10% deal because it's more of a sure thing. It's safer. So I think those two things, distributions and projected returns.
If a young professional came to you and said, I want your job in 10 years, what would you tell them not to do?
I would ask them if they are ready to be a business owner. Today, I own 50% of the business. I started at zero. If they want to go down that path and they're ready for the uncertainty, the ups, downs, then it's okay, buckle up and get a long-term perspective, a really long-term view, and be ready to trade a higher paying W-2 job for something which I made very little money the first couple years at capital because I was making a long-term bet. I could afford to do it because I was young, didn't have kids yet, was married, lived very simply, which opened up options. I was a nerd on personal finances and the FIRE movement and tried to get that savings rate as high as possible. Don't sacrifice short-term status, short-term money for long-term bigger payoff, whatever that could look like. There's no guarantees either. You could work your butt off, work 7 days a week like I did for many years, and maybe it doesn't work out. That's the risk you have to be okay with.
Along those lines, what did your peers do? I'm sure a lot of them went to medical law school, Wall Street. What did they do that looked smart at the time but turned out to be career limiting?
There's nothing wrong with those career paths. It's all about the values and skill sets and what you want to spend your days doing. There's an income cap on those careers. Not all sales jobs, you're not super capped in many industries. It feels good to get that high paying job, the security and the benefits. That's great. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. I really believe that. I think people around me, they're making good choices and they're going to probably be happy. I think the biggest thing is lifestyle creep and inflation. That's why you have people making $500,000 or $1 million a year and their net worth sucks because they're spending everything they make or more because they want to keep up with their neighbors they don't even know well. That's basic personal finances. I think it is shocking how many people have high incomes with low net worth.
During COVID, it exposed a lot of doctors living large and got laid off and couldn't pay their bills. Some of them were making 7 figures. It's shocking. How can people connect and learn more from you?
We're looking for people who have similar values and mindsets around long-term wealth building. If you want to learn more about commercial real estate, self-storage and mobile home parks, we have ebooks, free resources. Go to wellingscapital.com/resources. That's the best way to stay in touch. If you want to reach out to me directly, my email is ben@wellingscapital.com.
Thanks so much for coming on. Really enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks so much for having me.
Let's zoom out. If you're a physician, founder, or high-income professional, and you feel like you're working harder every year, but not structurally freer, you're not alone. The mistake isn't effort, it's architecture. This show exists to help you convert expertise into scalable leverage faster and with fewer expensive missteps. Here's the diagnostic I mentioned before. If your income requires your constant presence, if your capital isn't compounding outside your profession, if your highest value talent is doing low value tasks, you don't have a growth problem, you have a leverage design problem. And if you want to fix it with clarity instead of guesswork, I offer a limited number of one-on-one leverage strategy sessions each month. We audit your income model, capital deployment, authority positioning, and structural bottlenecks, and design your highest return move. If you're serious about compressing years into months, the link to apply is below.